Okay, good morning, everyone. Starting to see a few things get populated here, and we're at the 10 a.m. mark. My name's Sam Reichman, and I'm one of the instructors here at Wicklander Zulowski. And today, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of timekeeping. And timekeeping may not be one of the most exciting topics to cover, like our interviewing strategies that we tend to focus on in training, but it's extremely important. And one of the reasons for that is when you consider that the amount of investigation work that we do prior to an interview ever occurring, the planning that goes into an interview itself, and then the interview actually occurring, all of those components, that investigation stage, the planning stage, and the interviewing stage, they have such a focus of attention, and it's so detailed that sometimes elements like keeping track of time can be kind of put on the back burner or forgotten about to a degree. Now, I don't think that we do it willingly, but sometimes it just happens. And we don't want to be in a situation where time itself isn't being captured correctly during that interview room. So I want you to stop and consider, how this could play out in whichever industry you're in. So if we're in the private sector, there may be a policy or guideline that stipulates how long an interview can actually take, how long you have to complete an interview. And in the public sector, you may have a situation where someone alleges that they were interviewed for 3 or 4 hours and, they weren't given any type of accommodations. None of their requests were made. We didn't honor anything that they were asking us for. And in those type of situations, you're going to want to ensure that you can document to a degree how long that interview took, what time transpired during that conversation, and then also what was actually occurring within the room. Now, we can't cover minute by minute every single thing that happens, but there are some landmarks that we want to address, and then I'm going to cover with you here in a moment. But how this can be presented as an issue would be, just think of this. So the weekend's coming up, right? Some of us are going to be doing some fun stuff. I'm going to be. And if I'm at this party and I'm having a great time with my friends and I'm enjoying myself with my daughter and I'm just having a blast, I may look down at my watch and see that 5 to 10 minutes has just blinked by from the time that it even started. And it's going to seem like it just flew right by. Whereas if I asked you right now to just sit in silence and not say anything and just wait until I told you that 5 minutes had passed, that's going to feel very much differently to you than it did for me, who was having a good time and enjoying myself. Now, when we know that time can be perceived differently, even though the same amount of time has gone by, we have a responsibility to be able to document that. Because if the interviewee who's in that room feels that they've been interviewed for an hour and 45 minutes, and in reality, they've only been talked to for 30 minutes, we need to be able to have some form of accurate timekeeping in order to substantiate that and show how much time actually transpired. So some of the strategies that you're going to want to use are going to be dependent on whether or not you use a witness or if you're in that room by yourself. So if you're in the room by yourself, then these landmarks I'm going to go over with you, you're going to need to find a way on your own that works for you to keep track of these, whether you're taking notes. If you commit to doing it mentally and doing it by memory and then recording it later, you're going to want to ensure that you actually commit to that, because things are moving fast during an interview. We all know that they sometimes don't go as planned, and they can be pretty eventful. So this isn't something that you're going to want to potentially forget about. If you do have a witness, this comes to where we would try to prep that witness to the best of our ability. And keep in mind that sometimes some of the witnesses that we're going to be using may never have witnessed something like this before. It may be completely foreign to them. So ensure that you know the background of your witness, and you can have an understanding of, what potential training they may need beforehand versus someone who has done several interviews and been a witness in there. And even in that case, we don't want to rely on any training or understanding that occurred with someone else. You own that environment at that point, and the person that you're going to be talking to owes it. You owe it to them to make sure that you're setting up that place to be as successful for you and them as possible. So ensure that you've spent the time that you need to prepare your witness, and then cover with them some of these important landmarks. Now, this isn't completely inclusive and exhaustive, but these are some of the most important ones that you're going to want to document when it comes to time. So the first would be, if you're using any form of technology or an audio recorder, a DVR, whatever the system is, you're going to want to ensure that that is completely calibrated beforehand. I'm sure many of you have had a situation where technology has failed you in a moment where you needed it most. That tends to be when it happens often. So ensuring that we don't have a faithful reliance on tech, that it's going to be accurate in the moment that we need it, that you've actually went in, verified, one, it's operable, and two, it's accurate, because they tend to creep as time goes on. They get out of sync. And when it comes to note-taking for the witness, some of the important ones would be, one, what time somebody walks into the room, whether it's you or the interviewee, or if there's an interruption at the door, somebody knocks, wants to know what's going on, or they have a question. Anytime someone enters the room, exits the room, or there's an interruption, you're going to want to document when that happened. Second, any requests that are made. So if an interviewee asks to use the restroom, or they want to have a smoke break, or this could happen, someone may have a medication that they need and may have forgotten to take it, or they start to have a medical situation. Any situation like that, obviously, you would want to ensure that we're documenting the moment in time that that occurred. And then third would be anytime a statement is began. So if a statement begins, we want to ensure that our witness or yourself is documenting when that's occurring within that interview. And what you'll find is, if you're covering those basics, now you're going to add in areas that you feel should be documented more detailed, that's fine. But within those landmarks of any time someone's in or out of the room, that interruptions are handled, any requests that are made, as well as when a statement begins, those are going to give you some of the most important landmarks to document over a period of time what actually occurred within that interview that you conducted. And you'll set yourself up for success, not be in a situation not knowing how much time you actually spent within that room. So that's all the time I have for all of you. I'm at the 9:17 mark. This one went a little long. I can see we have a lot of good folks in here from Toronto, Mexico, and Sam's in Philadelphia. So I'm a little bit far out from you. I'm in Harrisburg, but at least we're in PA. Got New Hampshire. It was a pleasure getting to speak with all of you. If you have any questions or want to reach out to me, you can reach me on LinkedIn or at my WZ email, which is sreichman@wz.com. And with that, you take care. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.